The words hung in the air like a slap that refused to fade. "You're like a toy," Monica Vale had said, her voice dripping with sugar and venom. For a moment, the courtroom didn't breathe. The only sound was the faint buzz of the ceiling lights. Judge Judy didn't flinch. Her hands remained folded neatly on the bench, gavel untouched, her face unreadable. The cameras from the network crew kept rolling. One zoomed in, catching the faint twitch of Judy's eyebrow. "Name?" she asked softly. No outrage. No emotion. Just the clean, cold slice of authority. The woman tilted her chin, her designer earrings swaying. "Monica Vale, real estate investor, entrepreneur." Her smile widened, the kind of smile that demanded attention. "You might have seen me online. I am sure your grandchildren have." A low murmur rippled through the audience. Judy let it play out. The silence that followed felt deliberate, a gavel made of quiet. "Good," Judy said at last. "Then you should understand what happens when the cameras keep rolling after the act ends." The bailiff, a tall man named Harris, glanced nervously at Judy. He'd seen disrespect before, but this was new, weaponized arrogance. Monica leaned against the plaintiff's table, her diamond bracelet clinking softly, as if applauding herself. "Judge, I don't have all day. I'm suing my former maid for defamation. She's trying to ruin my brand." Judy's head turned slightly, eyes narrowing. "Brand?" "Yes, Monica Vale Lifestyle. It's an online platform. I teach women how to elevate themselves, how to be confident." "Confident," Judy repeated, her tone even. "That's one word for it." Monica missed the sting. She was already scrolling through her phone, pretending to be bored. From the defendant's side, a woman rose. Small-framed, middle-aged, dressed simply but neatly. Her voice was hesitant but steady. "Your Honor, my name is Elena Morales. I worked for Ms. Vale for 6 years." Monica rolled her eyes. Worked, past tense, because she couldn't even iron correctly. The crowd murmured again. Judy raised a hand. The room fell silent instantly. "Ms. Vale," she said, her voice calm but hard enough to cut marble, "in this courtroom you will not interrupt, insult, or perform." Monica's lips parted in mock surprise. "Perform? I'm just being honest." Judy leaned forward slightly, her tone soft and too soft. "Good, because honesty tends to echo here longer than arrogance." Monica blinked, a flicker of confusion behind the glitter. The camera panned across the gallery, faces tense, expectant. Even the network producer leaned forward, sensing something brewing. Judge Judy adjusted her glasses, glanced at her file, and then up again. "Let's begin, shall we? You're suing Ms. Morales for defamation. You claim she made false statements about your treatment of staff. Correct?" "Yes," Monica said quickly. "She posted lies online. Said I treated her like dirt. I mean, people exaggerate. It's the internet. Do you have evidence of those lies?" Judy asked. "Screenshots, comments, people gossip." Judy's eyes didn't move from hers. "And do you have proof she said anything that wasn't true?" Monica hesitated. Her smile faltered. The room seemed to lean forward. Judy tapped her pen once, slow and deliberate. "Ms. Vale," she said quietly, "this isn't social media. It's truth media." The gavel hit once, sharp, clean, final. The echo rolled through the courtroom like thunder in a marble hall. And for the first time, Monica Vale realized the game had just started, and she wasn't the one holding the strings. The gavel's echo still hummed when Judge Judy looked toward the defendant's table. "Elena Morales," she said evenly, "you may speak now." Elena stood slowly, clutching a folder close to her chest. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice, though soft, carried honesty that didn't need volume. "Your Honor," she began, "I worked for Ms. Vale for 6 years. I took care of her home, her clothes, her dogs. She stole towels," Monica interrupted with a scoff. "Let's not make her sound like Mother Teresa." "Ms. Vale," Judy said, not raising her voice, but slicing through Monica's words with precision. "I believe I said you will not interrupt." The courtroom held its breath. Monica crossed her arms, biting back her irritation. Elena took a shaky breath. "I didn't steal anything, Your Honor. I was fired because I asked to be paid for the extra hours I worked." Judge Judy's gaze lifted slightly. "How many hours?" "Almost 60 a week." "I was only paid for 40. Monica rolled her eyes again, loud enough to make her bracelets jingle. "Here we go with the sob story. Ms. Vale." Judy's tone snapped like a thunderclap. If you speak again out of turn, I'll have you escorted out. You understand? Monica froze. The faint smirk on her lips vanished. Elena nodded gratefully and continued. When I asked her about the unpaid hours, she told me I was lucky to even work in her home. She said I should be grateful someone like her noticed me. The gallery stirred, a few gasps, a low hum of disbelief. The clerk shifted uncomfortably. Judy's face didn't change. Did you have any witnesses to that conversation? Eleanor hesitated, then nodded. Her driver heard it, and her assistant recorded part of it on her phone, because she said one day people wouldn't believe how Monica treated her staff. A slow turn of Judy's head met Monica's defiant glare. Do you have that recording? Judy asked. Elena opened her folder and handed over a flash drive. It's all here, Your Honor. Monica let out a dry laugh. You can't be serious. That's illegal. She can't just record people in my house. Judy raised an eyebrow. If it was recorded during a workplace conversation, Ms. Vale, I assure you we're well within the law, especially if it speaks to the truth. The bailiff took the drive, slotting it into the court monitor. A single click echoed in the still air. The video loaded. A lavish marble kitchen. Monica's voice sharp and crisp. You people are replaceable. Don't start thinking you matter. The gallery gasped again. Monica's lawyer shifted nervously. Monica's expression stiffened, as if her face had turned to porcelain. Judge Judy leaned back slowly. That's your voice, Miss Vale? Monica stammered. It's out of context. She provoked me. Judy murmured. Seems to be a lot of that going around. People provoking you into revealing who you really are. The tension in the room felt alive. Even the bailiff's posture straightened, sensing a storm coming. Judy let the silence hang before delivering her next line. Each word deliberate. In this courtroom, Miss Vale, the truth doesn't need editing. The gavel hit once. The sound lingered. And with it, the faint, trembling hope in Elena's eyes finally began to look like strength. The video froze on the final frame. Monica's face, mid-scream, finger pointed at someone off camera. The sound of her voice still echoed faintly through the speakers. Then came silence. The kind that fills every corner. Judge Judy didn't speak. She just stared at the still image for a long, measured moment, then looked up at Monica. Tell me, Miss Vale, she said softly. Did you approve this performance for your channel too? Monica's jaw tightened. That was private footage. Someone stole it and edited it to make me look bad. Private? Judy's tone remained level. Yet it went viral on every platform within 24 hours. Would you like to explain how a private moment became public property? Monica's lawyer leaned in, whispering frantically. She waved him off. They twisted my words. It's just jealousy, Your Honor. People love to attack success. Success, Judy repeated, tapping her pen. You think mistreating people is success? I built everything myself, Monica snapped. From nothing. And now these nobodies... Enough? Judy's voice cracked like thunder. The gavel came down once, sharp and final. The audience jolted. The energy in the room flipping like a switch. Monica blinked, startled. She'd expected scolding, not power. Judge Judy leaned forward, her eyes cold and steady. You may have built an empire, Miss Vale, but from where I sit it looks like you built it out of people. A ripple went through the gallery. Murmurs, nods, the rustle of disbelief. Even Monica's lawyer looked away, pretending to adjust his tie. Judy gestured to the clerk. Play the rest. The video continued. On screen, Monica's voice filled the courtroom again. You think loyalty means anything? You're lucky I don't fire all of you and live stream it. The audience gasped. A few phones lifted instinctively to record reactions. Monica's face flushed red. That's edited. That's not how I said it. Then how did you say it? Judy asked calmly. Monica hesitated, then forced a laugh. It's just banter. My followers love when I'm blunt. Judy's expression didn't change. So you admit it's your voice? A pause. The air grew heavier. Yes, Monica muttered finally, but it's being taken out of context? Judy finished for her. The context appears to be you, Miss Vale. Even the bailiff's mouth twitched at that one. Monica sank back in her chair, glaring at Elena like a predator cornered. She's behind this. She leaked it! Elena shook her head, tears brimming. No, ma'am. I didn't. Someone just finally told the truth. Judge Judy folded her hands again, serene in her composure. Ms. Vale, truth has a way of leaking all on its own. That's why people fear it. It doesn't need permission. Monica's fingers clenched around her bracelet until her knuckles whitened. For the first time, she didn't look invincible. She looked trapped. Judge Judy's eyes flicked toward the monitor one last time. "Let's keep this clip on record," she said. "It's going to help us remember what pride sounds like when it starts to fall." The gavel came down again, and this time, even Monica didn't dare breathe. The tension in the courtroom felt like glass under pressure. Monica Vale sat stiff-backed, her expression sculpted into a defiant smile, but her fingers betrayed her, twisting the diamond ring on her hand over and over again. Judge Judy's gavel rested near her fingertips, silent but heavy, like a warning waiting to happen. "Ms. Vale," she said evenly, "you're free to cross-examine the defendant. But remember, this is a courtroom, not a stage. Keep your voice civil." "Oh, don't worry, Your Honor." Monica's tone dripped with false sweetness. "I'll be perfectly civil." She stood, heels clicking against the floor like a metronome of arrogance. Her lawyer rubbed his temples, already anticipating disaster. Elena Morales clutched her folder as Monica approached. The air between them felt charged, two different worlds colliding under the same roof. Monica smiled, but her words cut like razors. "Elena, tell me, how much were you paid to make up all these stories about me?" "I wasn't paid," Elena replied softly. "I just told the truth." "The truth?" Monica mocked. "You think cleaning my home gives you the right to drag my name through the mud?" Judy's tone sliced in. "Ms. Vale, you're treading dangerously close to contempt." But Monica was too deep in her own performance. She turned toward the audience as if delivering a monologue. "See, this is what happens when you give power to people who don't deserve it. They start thinking they're your equals." The courtroom gasped. The words hit like a slap. Even the cameras, still rolling, seemed to zoom closer, hungry for her downfall. Judge Judy straightened in her chair, her silence louder than any shout. "Ms. Vale," she said finally, her voice low but shaking the air, "you just made one of the clearest confessions I've ever heard. Not of guilt, but of character." Monica froze, the color draining from her face. "Sit down," Judy ordered. When Monica hesitated, Judy's tone turned to ice. "Now?" The sound of Monica's chair scraping back echoed through the room. Judge Judy turned to Elena. "You said you have pay stubs." "Yes, Your Honor." Elena handed them over, simple, folded sheets, some handwritten, others digitally printed. Judy studied them briefly, then lifted one sheet toward Monica. "These are from your company's payroll, correct?" Monica leaned forward, squinting. "They look familiar." "Look closer," Judy said. "Notice the signature." A pause. Monica blinked. Then her lips parted, realizing it wasn't her handwriting. Judy set the paper down carefully. "You submitted these as evidence through your attorney. Yet the signatures don't match the ones on your verified records. Do you want to tell me why?" Monica's voice caught. That's not possible. My assistant must have..." "Forgery is a serious accusation," Judy interrupted. "I'd choose your next words carefully." The gallery erupted in whispers. The bailiff barked for silence. Monica looked around the courtroom, the lights too bright, the cameras too close, her perfect image cracking under their glare. Her lawyer whispered, "Don't speak," but it was too late. The damage had been done. Judge Judy leaned back, her expression unreadable. "Ms. Vale, the higher the pedestal, the harder the fall. You might want to steady yourself." The gavel came down once, a warning and a prophecy, and as the echo faded, Monica's manicured fingers trembled for the first time. Monica isn't just arrogant, she's hiding forged evidence. Her lawyer knows it but keeps quiet, setting up betrayal and exposure in Section 5. The gavel's echo was still sinking into the floor when the clerk stepped forward with the folder of payroll records. Judge Judy adjusted her glasses, flipping through the pages with the precision of a surgeon examining an X-ray. Every turn of paper sounded like a countdown. Monica Vale sat motionless, diamond still glittering, but her poise now rigid, defensive. Her lawyer leaned closer, whispering something she ignored. Judy's tone was soft but deadly controlled. "These documents," she said, "were provided by your legal team as proof of legitimate payment to your employee. You're aware of that?" "Yes," Monica said quickly. "They're authentic." Judy tapped one of the pages with her pen. "Then you'll be able to explain why the signature on this payroll stub differs from the one on your verified business license. The camera zoomed in. A side-by-side comparison glowed on the monitor. The signatures were close but not quite right. One elegant and looping. The other rushed uneven, a forgery disguised as confidence. Monica's throat bobbed. It's probably just rushed. I sign hundreds of documents. Judy looked up slowly. Funny thing about a signature, Miss Vale. It's like a fingerprint. Your handwriting doesn't rush the truth, the audience murmured. Even the bailiff's posture stiffened, sensing something unraveling. Monica's lawyer shifted in his seat. Your Honor, it's possible the assistant processed these forms electronically. Possible, Judy said, cutting him off, but not probable. Especially when the timestamp metadata shows these documents were created 3 days after Ms. Morales filed her complaint. The room gasped. Monica's eyes darted to her lawyer. Wait, what? That can't be right, the clerk confirmed. We verified the metadata this morning, Your Honor. Files were backdated. Judy leaned forward, folding her hands. Ms. Vale, would you like to amend your statement? Or shall I assume you knowingly submitted falsified records? Monica's voice cracked for the first time. I didn't tell anyone to change anything. My lawyer... Her attorney's head snapped up, panic flashing across his face. Your Honor, I advise my client to stop talking immediately. But Judy's eyes didn't leave Monica. I see, she murmured. You're quick to give orders when they make you look powerful. But the moment truth gets heavy, you're ready to pass the blame. The tension in the courtroom was suffocating. Monica's chest rose and fell rapidly. Her once perfect calm was now a mask melting in real time. Judy turned to the bailiff. Please mark these records for potential investigation. Then to Monica, forgery is not a minor mistake. It's a mirror. It shows us who you become when integrity costs you too much. Monica swallowed hard. You're twisting everything. Judy's tone dropped an octave, calm, deliberate, final. No, Miss Vale, you twisted it. I'm just straightening it out. The gavel hit once, sharp enough to make even the gallery flinch. Papers rustled. The lights above seemed colder now. And in that moment, beneath her expensive veneer, Monica Vale finally looked what she truly was. Small-cornered, and afraid of the truth she tried to rewrite. The gavel's echo faded into a silence so heavy it felt alive. Judge Judy sat still, her fingers tapping lightly on the bench. Not impatient, just calculating. Across the room, Monica Vale shifted in her seat, crossing and uncrossing her legs like the motion might save her. Miss Vale, Judy began, her voice calm, almost kind. You said earlier you built everything yourself, correct? Monica straightened her posture. Yes, Your Honor, I worked for my success. Judy nodded slowly. And would you say that success was built on honesty? Monica hesitated. Of course. Good. Judy held up the forged pay stub. Then this shouldn't exist. A few in the audience gasped. The camera zoomed on the falsified document again. The room's air tightened. Monica forced a laugh that sounded brittle. You're treating this like I committed a crime. I'm just running a business. People make mistakes. Judy's tone turned surgical. Mistakes happen once. Patterns happen when lies become habits. The bailiff folded his arms. The tension thickened. Monica's lawyer whispered frantically, "Stop talking," but she waved him off. No, I'm not the villain here, Monica snapped. She's just jealous I had a better life. This entire thing is revenge. Elena's voice came softly from the defendant's table. All I ever wanted was fairness. That's not revenge, Miss Vale, that's respect. Something flickered across Monica's face. Guilt, or perhaps just the recognition of someone she couldn't intimidate. Judy leaned forward slightly. Respect is earned, not demanded, Miss Vale, and you seem bankrupt on that front. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Monica's cheeks flushed crimson. You're all judging me because I'm successful. Because I don't play poor. Judy's expression remained unreadable. No, Miss Vale, we're judging you because you play God with people's dignity. The words landed like stone. For the first time, Monica didn't respond. Her eyes darted toward the cameras, but even the lens seemed to be against her now, recording not her power but her fall. Her lawyer sighed deeply, finally standing. Your Honor, we request a short recess. Denied, Judy said instantly. The truth doesn't take breaks. Monica slumped back, her confidence crumbling like wet paint. Judy took a slow breath before speaking again, each word steady, deliberate. You know, Miss Vale, arrogance is like perfume. A little confidence smells fine, but too much, and the room starts to choke. The gallery chuckled softly. Monica's head snapped up, her glare full of fire and shame. Judy's gavel came down once, echoing through the courtroom like a warning shot. Sit there, listen, learn, because every word from here on out decides not just this case, but your reflection. The silence that followed was heavier than judgment itself. Even Monica's diamonds looked dull now, catching no light, reflecting only consequence. Tell me in the comments, if you were Judge Judy, would you let her keep talking or shut her down for good? The silence was thick enough to taste. Judge Judy leaned back, her eyes flicking between Monica Vale and her visibly shaken attorney. The lawyer, a thin man with tired eyes and a silk tie that suddenly looked too tight, was sweating through his collar. "Counselor," Judy said calmly, "I assume you reviewed every document before submitting it to the court?" He swallowed hard. "Yes, Your Honor, to the best of my ability." "To the best of your ability," Judy repeated, the words rolling out like measured steel. "So you can confirm these records were genuine when you reviewed them?" A pause. A long, painful pause. Every camera in the room tilted toward him. The audience leaned in. Even the bailiff's stance shifted. Everyone could feel it, something about to break. The lawyer looked at Monica, her stare sharp enough to cut glass. Then, with a breath that sounded like surrender, he turned back to the bench. "Your Honor," he began, voice barely steady, "I was instructed to include those documents by my client. I was told they were legitimate. I had my doubts." The courtroom erupted. Murmurs, gasps, the sound of reporters typing like gunfire. Monica's eyes widened, fury replacing fear. "You liar! You're trying to save yourself." The lawyer's hands shook. "You told me to make the records match, Monica. You said, and I quote, 'I don't care how, just make it look clean.'" "Enough," Monica shouted, standing so abruptly her chair scraped the floor. "You're twisting my words!" Judge Judy's gavel slammed once, commanding silence. "Sit down, Miss Vale," she ordered, her voice cutting through the chaos. But Monica kept talking, louder, angrier, unraveling. "He's a coward. I pay him to fix problems, and now he's pretending to be a saint? You're all hypocrites!" The gavel struck again, sharper this time. "Miss Vale, sit down now before I have you removed." Her words died mid-scream. The silence that followed was almost eerie, like a storm pausing before the next strike. Judge Judy turned her gaze to the lawyer, her tone softer, but no less dangerous. "So you admit these documents were altered under your supervision?" He nodded weakly. "Yes, Your Honor, and I'm prepared to face the consequences." Judy studied him, then said, "The difference between a mistake and a crime is honesty. You're halfway redeemed, don't waste it." Then her eyes shifted back to Monica, a gaze that could peel marble. "Miss Vale, you've accused everyone in this room of lying except yourself. But today your own lawyer just swore under oath that your story doesn't hold." Monica sat down slowly, her breath unsteady, fury trembling beneath her skin. Her lawyer stared at the table, defeated but finally honest. The cameras zoomed closer. The once glamorous mogul now framed not as a star, but a headline. Judge Judy leaned forward, her tone calm and final. "Truth has a funny way of showing up, Miss Vale, usually in the mouth of the people you thought would protect you." The gavel fell like a final cut in a movie scene, and in that echo, Monica Vale's empire began to collapse, not with noise, but with truth. The gavel's last echo still trembled through the courtroom when Monica's lawyer dropped his gaze, defeated. But the real silence came from Monica herself. She sat frozen, eyes wide, jaw tight, the diamond on her wrist trembling against the table. Then she laughed. A short, sharp sound, half disbelief, half hysteria. "Oh, this is adorable," she said, standing again. "You all think you've uncovered some grand conspiracy. My lawyer's pathetic, my maid's dramatic. And you," she pointed at Judge Judy, "you're just basking in your little power trip." Judge Judy didn't blink. "Sit down, Miss Vale." "No." Monica's voice rose, her words shaking the air. "You don't tell me what to do. I made people like you. I employ people like you. You wouldn't have a show if people like me didn't watch." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Reporters' fingers flew across their keyboards. Eleanor looked down, silent, tears threatening but contained. Judge Judy's tone dropped an octave. You done? The room froze again. For a moment, Monica opened her mouth. Then something in her expression shifted. Her defiance faltered. Her eyes flicked toward the back of the room. A young woman was standing there, trembling, pale, eyes rimmed red. She wore a plain blazer and held a phone in her shaking hand. It was Amber, Monica's PR assistant, Ms. Vale. Her voice quivered. Stop lying. The crowd turned. Cameras spun like radar. Monica's head snapped toward her. Amber, sit down. That's an order. But Amber's chin lifted, courage rising through fear. I can't, not anymore. Judge Judy's gaze softened slightly. If you have something to say, speak. Amber took a shaky breath. Monica told me to leak stories about Elena after she was fired. She said, make her look ungrateful. No one likes a maid who talks back. Monica's face drained of color. That's not true. Amber stepped forward, voice cracking but steady. It is, I have the messages. The emails. You said no one cares about her truth, only my image. The courtroom erupted. Her gasps, murmurs, camera flashes. Even Monica's lawyer's hands went to his face. Judge Judy raised a hand. The room fell silent again. Ms. Vale, she said quietly, anything you'd like to say before I confirm this evidence? Monica's lips trembled. She looked around. The audience, the cameras, her lawyer, the assistant she'd once ordered around like furniture. All eyes were on her now, but not with envy. With disgust, her voice cracked. You're all turning on me. No, Judy said gently. The truth is just turning the lights on. Amber's phone was handed to the clerk. The messages lit up on screen, time-stamped, undeniable. Monica slumped into her seat, her hands covering her face. The Queen's crown had finally fallen. Judge Judy leaned back, her expression unreadable. You walked in here calling me a toy, Ms. Vale, she said quietly. But now we see who's been playing with people's lives. The gavel came down once, final echoing. And as the courtroom erupted into whispers, Monica Vale's empire of lies began its public funeral. Amber's confession reveals not just Monica's cruelty, but also a larger fraud underneath. Monica's fortune itself is built on deceit, setting the stage for total moral and reputational destruction in the next act. The gavel had barely stopped echoing before chaos took over. Outside the courtroom doors, reporters surged forward like a breaking tide, cameras flashing, microphones raised. Inside, Monica Vale sat motionless, her face pale under the fluorescent lights. Judge Judy rose, gathering her notes with methodical calm. Court is in recess, she said, her voice cutting through the noise. 15 minutes. The moment she stood, every camera turned. Every whisper turned to a buzz. Monica's lawyer was already packing up papers in panic. We need to leave now, he muttered, tugging at her sleeve. But Monica didn't move. She was staring at nothing, as if the walls had turned into mirrors and every reflection looked like her downfall. When she finally rose, the crowd outside erupted, shouting her name, snapping photos, firing questions like bullets. Monica, did you falsify documents? Monica, is it true you bullied your staff? Ms. Vale, do you have a statement about the leaked messages? She tried to push through, chin up, voice trembling but defiant. I have nothing to say to vultures. Flashes exploded across her face. Behind her, Amber stood quietly, holding her phone to her chest. No longer an assistant, but a witness. Ms. Vale, another reporter shouted. Judge Judy's statement is trending. Over 2 million views in 15 minutes. Monica froze mid-step. What? Her lawyer checked his phone. Oh my God. He turned the screen toward her. A viral clip of Judge Judy's line. The truth doesn't need editing. The caption read, #Judge Judy destroys Monica Vale. Monica's breath hitched. She reached for the phone, staring as comment after comment flashed by. Money can't buy integrity. She mocked a judge. Now the judge owns her. Instant karma, live on TV, her voice cracked. They're laughing at me. Amber stepped forward gently. They're not laughing, Monica. They're seeing the real you. Monica spun, fury igniting again. You think you're better than me. You think because you cried on the stand, people care. Amber didn't flinch. No, but they believe the truth now, and that's more powerful than fear. The hallway fell silent again. Reporters caught every word. Cameras zoomed in on Monica's trembling hands, the fake calm crumbling from her face. Then Judge Judy appeared in the doorway, calm as a storm that already knew the outcome. She looked at Monica, not with anger but something colder. "Pity, Miss Vale," she said, her tone measured. "You can run from the cameras, but not from consequence." Monica tried to reply, but no sound came. Judge Judy walked past her, file in hand, as reporters parted like a tide before her. The camera lights dimmed behind her silhouette, leaving Monica alone in the glare. Her empire wasn't falling quietly. It was falling publicly. And for the first time, Monica Vale understood the real cost of fame. When the spotlight turns, it burns. If your boss tried to silence you the way Monica did, Amber, would you stay quiet or risk everything to tell the truth? The courtroom doors reopened to chaos. Every seat was filled, cameras humming, flashes bouncing off the polished wood like lightning. The smell of coffee and perfume hung thick in the air, the scent of tension. Monica Vale entered again, escorted by her lawyer, her sunglasses barely hiding swollen eyes. The crowd hushed, a wave of murmurs sweeping through as she passed. She looked smaller now, her signature walk dulled, her heels no longer weapons. Judge Judy sat already at the bench, perfectly still. When Monica approached her table, Judy's eyes lifted, calm and sharp. "Welcome back, Ms. Vale," she said. "I hope the recess offered you a moment to reflect, not rehearse." A few chuckles rippled through the room. Monica's jaw tightened. "Your Honor, I don't appreciate being mocked," Judy replied simply. "Neither does the truth, Ms. Vale. Yet it manages to show up anyway." The clerk stepped forward, holding Amber's phone, now logged in, the evidence verified. "Your Honor, these messages were authenticated and time-stamped." Judy nodded. "Proceed." The screen lit up on the courtroom monitor. Text messages appeared in full view, Monica's words glowing under the sterile light. "Make sure her name trends for the right reasons. Liar, thief, ungrateful. Pay a few bloggers. I don't care what it costs." "She won't destroy me," the crowd gasped. Reporters scribbled. Someone in the back whispered, "She really said that?" Monica's face went pale. "Those are out of context," she barked. "You don't know what it's like to have people come after you." Judge Judy's tone dropped like a quiet hammer. "You mean people like your staff? Your assistant? Your housekeeper?" Monica froze, the words hanging between them like judgment itself. Judy continued, voice cool but cutting. "You weaponized power and called it ambition. You built walls of luxury to hide cruelty. Tell me, Ms. Vale, did it ever make you feel taller?" Monica's breathing turned shallow. "You don't understand." "Oh, I understand perfectly," Judy interrupted. "I've seen your kind 100 times. You mistake arrogance for strength, money for respect, and followers for friends." The courtroom fell silent again. The tension was so thick, even the sound techs stopped moving. Then suddenly, Monica lunged forward, slamming her palms on the table. "Turn off the cameras," she screamed. "This is my life, not some circus for people to enjoy." The bailiff stepped closer instantly, but Judy simply raised a hand. "Miss Vale," she said, calm as glass, "you walked in here with your cameras. You wanted the world to see you win. Now they're seeing the truth, and it's still your show." Monica's knees wobbled. She sank back into her seat, her fury collapsing into exhaustion. Judge Judy watched her for a long moment before speaking again. "You can't hide from the world you built. Ms. Vale, it's just finally looking back." The gavel struck once, sharp, echoing, and in that single sound, Monica Vale's empire officially broke. Not in secret, but under the brightest lights she had ever turned on herself. The cameras were still rolling, but the energy in the room had changed. No more shouting, no more performance, just silence. A silence heavy with consequence. Monica Vale sat hunched at the plaintiff's table, her mascara smeared, her shoulders drawn inward. The once glittering woman looked like she'd shrunk under the fluorescent light. Even the reporters had stopped typing. Judge Judy didn't speak for a long time. She just watched Monica, expression unreadable. A woman dissecting not the case anymore, but the person behind it. Finally, Judy broke the silence. Her voice was calm, low, and unexpectedly gentle. "Ms. Vale," she said, "do you know what happens when you stare into a mirror too long?" Monica looked up slowly, eyes red. "You see what everyone else sees," she muttered. Judy shook her head. "No. You start to see yourself, and not the version you sell, but the one you've been avoiding." The courtroom stayed silent. Even the bailiff, usually stone-faced, softened. Monica's lips trembled. "You think you know me? You think because I made mistakes I'm some kind of monster?" Judy leaned forward slightly. "No. I think you're someone who thought attention was affection. And when people stopped clapping, you didn't know who you were without the noise." Monica swallowed, her hands gripping the table. "You don't understand what it's like to lose everything." And that's when Judy paused, just a breath, before saying something that stunned everyone. "I do." The audience stilled. Even the cameras seemed to hum quieter. "When I was your age," Judy continued, "I trusted the wrong people. I believed reputation was everything. I built my world on it. Then one mistake and one betrayal, and it all came crashing down." Monica stared at her, speechless. "I lost my credibility," Judy said softly. "For a time, my job, my confidence, my friends. The only thing that kept me from breaking was remembering that truth doesn't need applause, just persistence." The words hit the air like a slow echo. Monica blinked rapidly, as if trying to process what she was hearing. For the first time, she wasn't defensive, just quiet. Human. Judy's tone softened further. "You're not the first person to fall from grace, Miss Vale, but you might be the first who still thinks she's flying." Monica's lip quivered. "So what now? You want me to beg for forgiveness?" Judy tilted her head slightly, eyes steady. "No. I want you to look at yourself and realize that power isn't what you own. It's what you owe." The camera zoomed in on Monica's face, no longer the face of defiance, but the face of reckoning, and as Judge Judy lifted her gavel, she didn't strike it. She simply whispered, "Mirror, mirror, Miss Vale, and who are you without the lie?" The silence afterward was deeper than any sound that had come before. Judge Judy's quiet confession reframes everything. She isn't just punishing Monica. She's reflecting her own past. Justice now feels personal, and redemption becomes possible. The room was still. Not silent, still, like the air itself was afraid to move. Judge Judy sat in quiet composure, the file of evidence now closed. Before her, Monica Vale stared blankly at the table, her reflection flickering faintly on the polished wood, the reflection of someone she didn't recognize. Outside, rain had begun to tap against the courthouse windows, each drop a soft percussion to the tension that had filled this room all morning. "Elena Morales," Judy said finally, her tone softer than anyone expected. "Do you have anything you'd like to add?" Elena rose slowly, her eyes meeting Judy's with quiet strength. "No, Your Honor, I just—" She hesitated, then looked toward Monica. "I just want her to understand how words can hurt, how power can wound when you use it like a weapon." Monica's eyes flicked up just for a second. There was no glare this time, no smirk, just a hollow exhaustion. Judy nodded. "Thank you, Ms. Morales, you may sit." The courtroom shifted slightly, papers rustling, seats creaking, but no one dared break the emotional gravity of the moment. Then Judy turned to Monica. "Ms. Vale," she began, her tone calm but firm, "I want to explain something before I give my ruling." Monica straightened slowly, as if bracing herself. Judy folded her hands. "Arrogance is loud. It shouts to drown out fear. But truth?" She paused. "Truth whispers, and it never stops." The rain outside grew heavier, pattering like applause from ghosts. Monica blinked rapidly, her voice barely a whisper. "I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I thought if I looked strong enough, no one would see how scared I was." For the first time, there was no pretense in her tone, just fatigue and something dangerously close to regret. Judy studied her face carefully. "Strength isn't pretending you're untouchable. It's standing up when the world sees your cracks." A single tear slipped down Monica's cheek. She didn't wipe it away. Across the aisle, Elena watched silently, her expression no longer anger but empathy. Because for all the damage done, she saw it now. Beneath the diamonds and defiance, Monica Vale was just another human being desperate not to break. Judge Judy leaned back, her voice steady and final. "This courtroom isn't about punishment, Miss Vale. It's about perspective. Sometimes the harshest sentence is having to face who you really are." Monica nodded faintly, unable to speak. Outside, thunder rumbled, low, distant. Cleansing Judge Judy didn't strike her gavel this time. She just sat there, letting the sound of the rain fill the silence. It wasn't judgment anymore. It was reflection. And for the first time, Monica Vale finally listened. The storm outside had softened to a steady rhythm, the windows streaked with silver rain. Inside, the courtroom sat in near silence, the kind that makes every breath feel sacred. Judge Judy's eyes moved between the two women before her, one broken by shame, the other lifted by truth. "Elena," she said softly, "if you wish to address Miss Vale, I'll allow it, so long as it's done with dignity." Elena hesitated, fingers twisting the edge of her sleeve. Then she stood, her voice trembling only for a moment. "Miss Vale," she began quietly, "when I worked for you, I used to believe that if I just tried hard enough, one day you'd see me, not as your maid, but as a person." Monica's head lifted slightly, eyes red, unfocused. Elena took a slow breath. "But every time I spoke, you made me feel smaller. You told me people like me should stay quiet and be grateful. So I did for years," her voice caught, "but gratitude doesn't mean silence. And respect isn't something you buy." A murmur rippled through the gallery. Even the bailiff blinked hard, pretending not to feel the sting of her words. Elena stepped closer, her tone steady now, graceful, firm. "When you fired me, I cried. Not because I lost a job, but because I lost faith in people like you. People I thought had everything. But now," she paused, eyes softening, "I see you didn't have everything. You just had walls." Monica's breath hitched. Her hand went to her face, but this time not to hide, to hold herself together. Judy watched silently, her gaze sharp yet compassionate. Elena's final words fell like truth wrapped in mercy. "You fired me for having dignity, Miss Vale, but dignity is the one thing no one can take, not even you. And if you ever find it again, I hope you use it to lift someone, not crush them." The courtroom fell into complete silence. Even the sound tech stopped breathing. Monica stared at Elena, tears streaming freely now. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Just a single broken whisper. "I'm sorry, it wasn't rehearsed." It wasn't dramatic. It was raw, small, trembling, and real. Elena nodded once, her own eyes glassy. "That's all I ever needed to hear." Judge Judy leaned forward slightly, her voice carrying the weight of resolution. "That," she said, "is what justice looks like when it remembers to be human." The gavel struck once, soft and solemn, like the punctuation on a prayer. Outside, thunder rolled gently across the sky. Not angry this time, but cleansing. And in that moment, grace didn't just belong to the innocent. It reached the guilty too. The rain had stopped. The light through the courtroom windows glowed faintly gold, the kind of light that feels like a sigh after a storm. Judge Judy lifted her gavel, her expression calm but firm. "Let's conclude." Her words drew every head upright, every heart to attention. Monica Vale sat perfectly still, her tears drying against her skin, the diamond bracelet dull now, stripped of its luster and meaning. Elena Morales sat across from her, hands folded, posture steady, eyes peaceful but not proud. "Miss Vale," Judy began, "you came here demanding to be seen as powerful. You leave here being seen as human." Monica's eyes flickered up, not defiant, not angry, just listening. Judy continued, her voice precise as truth itself. "You mocked this court, belittled the people who worked for you, and tried to twist evidence to protect your image. You failed, not because I'm clever, but because the truth doesn't need clever. It needs courage." She glanced toward Elena. "And Ms. Morales had plenty of that." Elena lowered her gaze humbly. Judy turned back to Monica. "The court finds in favor of the defendant. All damages requested by Ms. Morales are awarded in full." The gavel hit once, justice rendered, but Judy didn't stop there. She leaned forward, voice softer now. "And, as part of this ruling, you are ordered to make a formal public apology. Not for spectacle, but for sincerity. You've lived behind cameras long enough. Let's see if you can stand before one without pretending." Monica nodded slowly, a single tear slipping free. "Yes, Your Honor." The courtroom stayed silent. The only sound the faint hum of the overhead lights, and the clicking pens of reporters who suddenly wrote slower, as if trying to capture more than words. Judy leaned back, her tone transforming from judicial to personal. "I've seen arrogance destroy people more than poverty ever could, but I've also seen humility rebuild lives stronger than pride ever did." Her gaze softened, the fire in her eyes cooling to something like compassion. "If this day breaks you, Miss Vale, Let it break what needed breaking. Monica closed her eyes, nodding faintly. Judge Judy set her papers aside. Court is adjourned. The gavel struck one final time, not as punishment but as release. The audience exhaled collectively. The cameras flashed, not with frenzy this time, but reverence. Elena stood walking past Monica on her way out. For a moment their eyes met. No hatred, just quiet understanding. Outside, sunlight pierced through the clouds, flooding the hallway with gold. And as Judge Judy rose from her bench, she whispered to herself, not for the cameras, not for the crowd, but for the truth that had filled the room that day. Power fades. Character remains. Tell me in the comments, sir. Do you think Monica deserved forgiveness, or was this the justice she needed to truly change? The next morning, the courthouse steps were nearly empty. Yesterday's storm, both weather and emotional, had cleared. Only a few reporters lingered, their voices low, their cameras turned toward a small figure stepping into the light. Elena Morales. No entourage, no makeup, no spotlight. Just a woman holding her truth with quiet grace. A journalist called out softly, "Ms. Morales, how does it feel to win?" She smiled faintly, shaking her head. It wasn't about winning. It was about being heard. The answer echoed, gentle yet powerful enough to silence the crowd. Across town, Monica Vale sat alone in her penthouse. The marble floors that once gleamed beneath her heels felt colder now. Her phone buzzed endlessly, messages from sponsors, reporters, even fans, all wanting a statement, a reaction, a spark of the woman she used to be. But that woman didn't live here anymore. On the counter, a piece of paper sat unfolded, her court order, requiring a public apology within 72 hours. For the first time in her life, she didn't see it as humiliation. She saw it as a chance. She turned her phone camera on. No filters, no lighting, just truth. Her voice shook, but she spoke clearly. I disrespected people who worked for me. I lied to protect myself. I thought power meant never admitting I was wrong. But I was wrong about everything. She paused, eyes glistening. To Ms. Morales, to the court, and to everyone I tried to fool, I'm sorry. It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't perfect. It was real. Within hours, her video went viral, was not for scandal, but for sincerity. Some mocked. Others forgave. But everyone listened. Meanwhile, in a small cafe on the east side of town, Judge Judy sat by the window, stirring her tea slowly. A producer slid a tablet across the table, showing Monica's apology. Judy watched silently. When it ended, she simply said, "She'll be fine." The producer frowned. "After all that?" "You think so?" Judy smiled faintly, eyes distant. She finally met herself. Most people never do. Outside, sunlight spilled across the street. Eleanor passed by the window, carrying flowers in her hands, small white lilies. She paused when she saw Judy inside, their eyes meeting through the glass. A nod, a silent thank you that needed no words. Judy raised her cup slightly, a quiet salute. The gesture of a judge who knew justice wasn't just about verdicts. It was about redemption. The camera panned up, past the courthouse, past the skyline, into the soft blue morning. The narrator's voice faded in, calm and reflective. Arrogance shouts. Truth whispers. And somewhere between the two, justice listens. The music swelled. Slow, graceful, final, and as the screen faded to black, one line remained on the screen like a quiet truth carved in time. Because arrogance may roar in the courtroom, but truth always leaves it standing.